Welcome to the Model Health Show. This is fitness and nutrition expert Shawn Stevenson here with my amazing, talented, wonderful, such a gift in my life, co-host and producer Jade Harrell. What's up, Jade?
I'm choked up. What's up, Shawn?
How are you today?
Today, Shawn, I am divinable.
Divinable. I like it. What is that? Tell me about it.
I am wonderfully divine today. I'm feeling very divine today.
I like it. And you got the sparkles going. See the flare you got there on the earrings. I like it.
It was bringing in some blue. I'm channeling some fluid, some water.
You know, the water's important.
It is.
You know, we've talked about that on the show many times. Many times. We're mostly water.
Right.
You know, and that can't be.
Hormones.
Right. We're just a soup. We're a hormone soup, basically.
Hormone soup. And
you
what
know?
was the other bacteria?
Oh, yeah. We're 10 times more bacteria than human cells, right?
Yeah.
Just to creep everybody out
Stick
before
a
we get
spoon
started.
in that and sip it, right?
And everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. We've got a really powerful, important show lined up for you guys. And I'm really excited to share this with you, excited to share my experience over the past couple of years and also especially recently with the release of Sleep Smarter and seeing all of the impact that it's making right now in our world today. So today we're going to be talking about the anatomy of success.
Okay.
You know, to always tie things back to health and wellness. So we're going to break down the anatomy of what success actually looks like.
That's very clever.
And so it's going to be amazing. You're going to walk away with tons of valuable insights today that you're going to be able to use with your health strategy, your relationships, your business, whatever the case may be, to take things to the next level. But first, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our show sponsor, onnit.com. Head over to onnit.com/model, and you're going to get 10% off all of your health and human performance supplements. Right now, got the Alpha Brain loaded up in my BPA-free bottle that my wife gave me. Somebody came into the gym the other day, and they were like, and they were opening up a new one of their shaker bottles, and they're like, let's just see how I'm going to lose this one. You know? And so I know a lot of people feel that pain as well. But I've got my Alpha Brain loaded up right now, and huge fan of the Hemp Force protein. I've been using that lately, especially post-workout. And the Shroom Tech, let me tell you. So I'm opening the capsules and putting them into my kids' smoothies. It definitely helps when I'm out there on the road and traveling, keep my immune system sharp.
For sure.
And, you know, it's just one of the best things going, really, when we talk about the power of the medicinal mushrooms, the chaga and the cordyceps, you know, and the clinically proven benefits, you know, especially with chaga, with its all of these studies showing its benefit for protecting your body against cancer, you know, cellular mutations. We've got to have things in order with those cells, you know, or we can forget about weight loss if your body's trying to defend itself against, you know, chronic disease, you know. So let's get our bases covered first. So head over, check them out, onnit.com/model for 10% off. Now let's do the iTunes review of the week.
Here we go. This is from TK421. From a physical therapist. This is 5 stars. I opened up my practice 7 months ago after working for a large company. One of the goals of my practice is to spend more time with each client and dive deeper into their reality. Shawn and Jade create a dialogue paired with useful content I find helpful when implementing with my clients. I have a lending library in my clinic for resources and recently bought 10 copies of Sleep Smarter. People's lives are being changed, and I'm happy to spread the word.
That is so powerful. I'm over here like cheering, pumped up.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. It's such a wonderful gift to give. And we're seeing that with a lot of physicians' offices that are giving away books and the health food stores out there.
I went to get smoothies, and I was looking around to see, because they always have a little library. They had a full shelf, actually. It wasn't just a couple of copies.
So powerful.
A full shelf of Sleep Smarter all on front display. It was
That's
great.
so powerful. Well, everybody, thank you so much for leaving these reviews on iTunes. Wow. We're about to crack another, I think it's 700 reviews in just a very short amount of time. So that really means a lot. You know, I know we've got tens of thousands of listeners, but taking that extra time to head over to iTunes, hey, it's a little work. You know, it's going to take you a whole 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. But I truly do appreciate you guys so much. It means the world to me. So
me too.
Thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and dive into our topic of the day. Today we're going to be talking about the anatomy of success. And so how are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to break down different facets of things that our bodies do and relate that over into components of having a successful life in many different areas.
That's a great analogy, Shawn.
Thank you.
I love that.
What we're going to start with is muscles, right?
Okay.
And so the most important muscle I feel in your success in your life overall, and especially with your health, is being able to exercise your decision-making muscles. All right, so let's talk a little bit about that.
All right.
First and foremost, it's important to understand that our decisions and our indecisions really do shape our destiny. So the decisions that we make on what person to get into a relationship with, who to marry, what school to go to, what job to take, what job to turn down, whether or not to have kids, all of these different things direct the course and navigate where your life is going to go. So it's always rooted in your decisions. And for us to really be empowered in our life, it's time. And I'm going to ask you guys, when are you going to decide? When are you going to decide to be great? When are you going to decide to do that thing that you've been saying you're going to do? When are you going to decide to execute? When are you going to decide to start living the life that you were really born to live? And it's really powerful to just realize, first and foremost, that it's within me to choose. Sometimes if we're not aware of this, we believe that the environment, our circumstances are choosing for us. And in many ways they are.
And many times we say, I don't have a choice. What choice do I have?
Yes, so true, so true. But if you don't decide to live the life that you truly want, then you're going to be stuck, and you're going to feel that. And there's this wonderful quote from William James, and I really love his writings. And he says that when you have to make a choice and you don't make it, that in and of itself is a choice. And so a lot of us are forfeiting our choices and our ability to make decisions that, again, are going to determine the destiny of our lives. So not making a decision, not stepping up and choosing what you really want is in and of itself a choice.
It is.
Now, on the other side of the playground, all right, where the grass is greener and that whole thing, we're always trying to get to where the grass is greener, but the grass is green where you water it. It's green where you take care. But on the other side of this equation, there's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, just again, phenomenal thinker and phenomenal writer. He said that once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Now, I can't make it any simpler than that,
right?
And this is what I've seen. I'm a very analytical, tangible, I want to know how it works type of guy. At the same time, there are some things that can't be explained with our kind of three-dimensional reality, our kind of trained thinking that we have. We know that there's so much more that we don't understand yet. And we know that there's so much greatness that is contained within all of us. And I was going to say consumed. And because that's what you are, we are a part of it. You're living, moving, breathing, walking, talking, having your experience in this amazing universe with so many different potentials, and you are one of those potentials, but you have to choose to say yes to whatever your mission is. And so with that said, I want to talk to you guys and give some specific examples about some decisions that I made that weren't necessarily ripe for the taking. I had to step and make that decision. So the first one was to go to college, to make that decision to go to college when no one in my family before that had ever gone to college before. No one had ever graduated with a degree from a university. I was the first person in my family to do that. I didn't have a reference point for that. But just having exposure is so important. Having examples and starting to see people around me. When I went to a better high school, for example, it changed my paradigm. It's just like, automatically, people are going, this isn't the end. When I graduate from high school, people are going on. And always, being a good student from early on, but it still had to be put into my awareness that was possible. But I also had to say yes to it. And this is what I'm going to do, come what may. And we've talked about this many times in the show that the Latin root of the word decision is de, which means from, and caedere, which means to cut. So when you make a true decision about something, you're cutting away the possibility of anything but that thing happening. So for a lot of us, even when we're talking about decisions, they're like, all right, Shawn, I'm going to give it the old college try. Woo! And I'm pumping my elbow over here if you can't see. And so we say I'm going to give it a try. Or I hope you're right. I wish, I really wish that this is going to work. I wish this thing would happen. That's very disempowered thinking. When you call upon your own innate ability to decide and to choose, you are bringing about the power of forces and influence and resources outside of yourself that you don't even realize are around. until you decide to make it happen. Come what may, we have to drop the excuses. This is what I'm deciding on and start walking in that direction. Will it be easy?
Not at
I'm
all.
not saying that.
No.
I'm not saying that at all. There are going to be challenges, but when you truly decide something, it doesn't matter what comes along. You know, the approach might change, but the goal is not going to change. You keep moving forward.
That's right.
So that's one, just a simple decision to go to college. And that is one of the pieces that led to me being here with you guys today. Not necessarily because of the college education,
Right.
you know, because there's a lot of miseducation that can happen, but it's one of the things that helped to create my character, for sure. Another decision I made is to start this show. And
I love
there's
when you tell this story.
there's a wonderful story
Oh, my
behind it. So
gosh.
I was doing this TEDx talk in Las Vegas. Crazy thing, really quickly. The other day I was at the gym and I saw the guy who spoke right before me on stage. The mayor of Las Vegas was on some news segment on like a major network. He was such a character. Story has it, legend has it, he was the lawyer for the mob, but you know the mob's not real,
right.
you know, whatever. But anyway, so he spoke before me on stage, and he was the mayor of Las Vegas at the time, and actually wrote into the laws that if anybody was to film a movie in Las Vegas, he had to be in the movie. Right? So he's like in Casino, he's in, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy
That's
character.
hilarious.
Anyway, so I did this talk, and a lot of people have seen it before. And so this was back, I think it was 2010. And it was a great experience. And as I was coming off the stage, this amazing couple came up to me and they told me that they were just really blown away. They really appreciated the way that I delivered the information. And they thought that I'll be a great fit for this project they're working on because they wanted to start this new podcast. And they had, a couple 100,000 people coming to their site, on a weekly basis, I think at that time, which was a big deal for me. And I'm like, because I was very fresh to doing work online. I was mostly offline. And I was like, okay, so what do you guys want to do? And it's like, well, we think you should be the face of our podcast. And I was like, sounds great, let's do it. But what's a podcast,
Right.
And so that was my initial dating experience with podcasting. And it was very difficult. I did 99.9% of the work myself, and I really didn't know what I was doing. But that rummaging around and creating something that ultimately became very successful and impactful really helped to build those muscles that when we started this show, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, I already had the skill to come right out of the gate, episode 1, and make a hard hitter that can impact a lot of lives. And so ultimately, this was about a year and a half into doing that show every single week. We amicably parted ways with my good friends, and because I needed to build my own brand, and there was a lot more that I wanted to say, and I didn't want to be within the confines of whatever their particular box was,
Sure. I want to add a couple things too to your story. One, that was an incredible talk. So please include that or some kind of reference to it about chocolate saving the world in the show notes. But also, and I don't know if you remember, when we started coming on air and you did these short Stevenson secrets to just help people every day on radio. We had a tough time at first because you weren't used to that environment and that mode.
Yeah.
But then it didn't take you long
Yeah,
to get really good at that, where you'd come in the studio and you nail it. Boom, 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 boom. And that may have been before your talk, was it?
No, this was after.
This
So
was
here's
after.
where it's going to get good.
Bring that all together because you really had gotten your wings cut then.
And you just brought up an important point too, which is it's not, especially when you're new to something. First of all, I want to ask you guys a question. When's the last time you did something for the first time?
Great question.
When's the last time you did something for the first time? Because chances are the level that you want to get to, you're going to have to do things new that you've never done before. And that brings about a certain level of discomfort. And I know for myself personally, I like to be good at stuff.
Right.
I like to win, and that's just how it is. But I'm very humble in not winning. I love that experience and what it teaches me, because I'm really more focused on the experience and enjoying the moment as much as possible versus how I used to be, which is just, I want to win. And then I'm carrying around that if I happen to lose, and so it's a different approach.
You'll go in with that. You'll lead with that, and that'll affect you from experiencing it fully in order to be sharper as you go. I've been telling people lately, it's okay to be an amateur.
Yes,
at first.
Exactly. You have to be. You got to go through that level.
Right. And it's similar to what you said in our recent show, where don't just, well, no, you were on somebody else's show. I've been watching you, man. But you were on someone else's show and you said you can't just pick up a guitar and expect to get out here and compete against John Mayer.
Right.
You know, so it's all right. But come in as you are and be the amateur, because 2 weeks from now, you will be a 2-week seasoned whatever it is you're doing.
Yes.
Because you were able to develop in that way.
And every level you're going to be able to serve. Because if you're the 2-week champ, there's the first day person who can look to you and like, hey, how can I get to where you are? You know, so every level you're at, you're going to be able to serve.
That's
awesome. All right, so the Model Health Show. And so we amicably parted ways, and I was like, okay, so I know what the show is going to be. I know what it's going to be about, but I need that counterbalance. I need that energy to bring to the table that's going to support me. And I had essentially 2 options that came to mind very quickly. And one of them was a physician who I'd done a lot of webinars with. She's fantastic, super smart. But, you know, it wasn't super, you know, wasn't like, yay, like exciting, you know. And so I thought about that and I considered it deeply. But then I remembered that there was this woman who I met while I was doing a keynote for this chiropractic event. And she was the MC. And she came up to me afterwards. She was like, I've got to work with you. We're going to get you on the radio and all these things. And you know how people bring a lot of promises to the table. But the next day, sure enough, she contacted me and we started a really wonderful relationship. And I saw her value. She saw my value. And that woman is Jade Harrell. And so I knew.
And folks are saying, well, I don't get it. So what happened?
And I knew from that moment, and I called you up, and I was like, "So, you know, what's up?
Such a deep.
Do you want to do this? You know?" And so,
wait, you didn't just say that. You said, "Jade," because you're so serious. I'm considering doing something, and I want to bring it to you, and it's a long-term commitment. It's something you'll have to think about. You'll have to really think about this.
I did say that.
But if you do this, I think it will open up new worlds and be a wonderful opportunity for us to impact people on a great level. And I'm going, what could that be? Egad me. Egad. And you said, are you ready? You prepped me for that. And I said, well, sure. But I didn't realize what I could possibly bring and add other than helping you do what you were doing.
Yeah.
And even in the beginning, I was going, well, sure, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Not even thinking how much of a part I would play or be connected to that greater good. And now to know that, it's
powerful.
Amazing. It's
but
ridiculous.
you
and that
had
was a
to decide
yes.
to say yes to it. And
you
I
was
knew
chicken.
Because I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, hey, I want you to think about this, you know,
like,
because I knew that this would be the most consistent thing that either of us have ever done in our lives.
Ever.
And so, to commit to that and to say yes to it and to show up every single day and give your A game, even when other things are going on.
We've had
That's
that.
really, of course, we've had so many crazy situations, guys. If you only knew.
Power outage, children, emergencies.
It's been bananas, but
Fires.
we always found a way to give our best right from our heart.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, and then plus, of course, your skill in making the show what it is. And I also talked about this as well, which is this is an audio platform for most people who are listening. Versus, people watching on YouTube right now. And I want that experience to be amazing for everybody on a consistent basis. And you knew how to make that happen with a level of skill that I'd never seen before, not even anything remotely close. And so you're like, what up? You sound good anyway.
All right. It was so easy.
It's not that. It's still being able to capture and find those little moments to blend things together. And so, again, very thankful. But ultimately, guys, I'm just sharing the story because we both had to say yes. We both had to decide to make it happen. In the beginning, it was slow going. I was doing those shows, preparing for those shows for hours, putting hours into the show. And so was Jade with an audience of a couple hundred people,
Days
and ultimately
and
we just crossed 4 million downloads for a once a week show.
Yeah.
Right? Powerful. And most of that has been in the last year. And so even when you make that decision, approach it like you've already got the audience. Approach it like you are the person who you want to be. Right. That's a really important part of this.
That's how you can show up. You have to be that person in order to become that person. I can't become this grand producer or be able to bring the value of the ear and the processing and the production to you if I'm showing up as the PM drive personality. It can't
Yeah.
be the same. So I have to be the person that I'm trying to become at whatever level that
Yes.
is,
Yes.
so that she can evolve to that. And so what if she's not there yet? But I need her.
Yes.
I need her to get there. And I hope
Exactly.
that's not confusing, but you need the person that you have to become in order to get to that goal.
Yes, you said it. I mean,
Did I?
there's levels to this, and just remember that. Remember that all of those
Yeah.
experiences are helping to ultimately create that life that you truly want. And really quickly, I'm going to take you guys through, because this is the biggest of all of the pieces of the anatomy, because this in many ways is the most proactive, scary part for a lot of us. And so another one was to write Sleep Smarter. That was another decision that I made. And this would not exist had I not said yes. And this is another call to everyone really understanding the power of an idea and understanding that you can actually bring something from idea to physical existence
with that muscle.
Exactly. And so one thing, and I'm going to share some things you might not have heard before, and that I might not have even shared, but I had to decide, first of all, what I was going to write about, right? And use evidence to make sure that it actually mattered. Is this something that actually mattered, that was truly needed right now in our world today? And it wasn't just like, you know what? I'm going to come up with toilet seat cup holders with, and you could put your feet in it like some Chewbacca the Wookiees, house slippers while you're using the bathroom.
You just made that tangible. I never would have imagined that until you just said it.
All right. So like this crazy ideas that we can come up with, like it's going to be a huge hit, or actually looking at the evidence. And having this show was a part of Sleep Smart existing, because I could look at the downloads and actually see, what were people most interested in. And the 3 shows we did early on sleep were in the top 10. So I was like, wow, this is important. People really want to know about this. So let me put all of my clinical experience and my insights and my communication style into making something powerful. So that was part one. Another part was ultimately I decided to close my practice. That was a very successful practice, in order to focus on writing and speaking and also doing this show. And it was a security blanket for sure, but it was a situation where I came to that place in my life where I had outgrown that part, and it was a situation like in a relationship, like, you see, I love you,
right,
but I'm not in love with you. That's just wrong. If anybody ever says that to you, just leave immediately.
That's
but
right.
It's kind of the feeling that I had. I loved that work, but my work was really influencing influencers, helping to make an impact in the lives of people who are going to make the impact in lives of people that I would maybe never even reach. So this is the platform for that, and also writing these books. And of course, we had our other family kind of structures taken care of, with monetary stuff. So of course, not being like, you know what?
I'm out of here.
Right. You throw, you do the Jerry Maguire
I'm never
thing,
coming
and this
home.
goldfish is coming with me.
That's right.
Who's coming with me?
Right.
And you don't want to do that, but it's being smart about it. But ultimately, what's the end game? And so for you, if you have this in mind, like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to write a book, I want to be a speaker, I want to teach, whatever it might be. And right now, you're working, doing something that you're not happy about. What is your end game? You need to decide and start taking action in that direction.
And that was, maybe you could speak a little bit on when it's tough to let go of what you already know, because you had your clinical practice, and that was a big part of your story and how you ascended from previous times in life. Those earlier stages. It was a huge piece. Like,
Yes.
look, I am practicing in the way that I can. I'm making differences in lives.
Yeah.
And still we're touching people all over the place.
This is exactly why it was so powerful on the first part of this book tour to meet all of the people who came out to talk to me, from Craig in New York City to Jamie when I met her there as well. Oh man, this is tough.
Yeah. Because I saw the fella come to the book signing too.
Yeah, it
With
was
his wife.
it was overwhelming, because with this medium, it's not that direct. I can see the change happen myself. So it's the stories that you guys have shared with me, and so to be able to meet people face to face and to hear the impact that I've had in their lives, and even one young lady, we took a recording of this we're going to put out for everybody to see, but her mother, as soon as I walked into the bookstore, Her name was Amber in Los Angeles. And her mother, and Amber's like, you have no idea. This has been amazing just being able to be connected to your show. And her mom was there. And her mom was like, no, you don't understand. And she had just finished her treatment for cancer recently. And she still had this light. She had this vitality because she'd been employing what we've been talking about. And she and her mother really wanted to impress upon me and like look into my soul so I understand that we helped her to get through that. And not just that, but to come out the other end as a better person.
That's right.
And so those stories are remarkable, and you're not going to hear those a lot of times unless you're getting out and kind of connecting with people versus being in my practice. And so I could see that change firsthand. But here's the thing. I've worked with thousands of people in a one-on-one context.
Yeah, you did.
In, a 10-year span, a little bit longer than 10 years, so maybe 12, 13 years. But
I mean, it was a part of you.
yeah, you've got to, and also again, you've got to build that muscle so that I can translate that over now into what I'm doing. And to say, okay, we've graduated from this place and now we're at this place. And so having that audacity to look somebody in their eyes and say, I got you. We're going to beat this thing together. We're going to overcome this thing. We're going to move past it. This is going to be a part of your story, And so to instill that trust, but also have evidence, to be able to execute is so important. And so this transition from writing a book from, none of this stuff existing really is a result of smaller decisions along the way, some big, some small, but ultimately it's still within our power to choose. And we're going to come back to some of this stuff, but I want to move on to the other parts of the anatomy, but I want to share one more thing with you guys. So
see, these are the great decisions.
Yes. I want you to decide.
You can bounce back from even some of the not so great ones because they teach you to.
Of course. Everything is a lesson.
Right.
So I want you to decide what you want. Decide what you want and start making daily decisions, because now it's about exercising those muscles. Start making daily decisions to support it. If you say you want to lose weight, then make the decision to say no to the Cinnabon that your friend brings over in the morning. I just watched Daddy's Home.
Oh, wow.
With Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And the kids got up one day, and Mark Wahlberg, he's the quote real dad. And there were these amazing cinnamon rolls. He's like, yeah, I just baked up some cinnamon rolls. Say hi to your mother for me.
Right.
Doing this typical Mark Wahlberg thing. Hey guys, I just found a transformer. Right. And so, but come to find out, he had actually got those from Cinnabon. Right. So anyways, say no to the Cinnabon, and then, but you have to say yes to another decision. You have to decide yes to the veggie omelet instead, yes to the Dolce breakfast bowl. Mike Dolce talked about as people have been tagging me on Instagram with their picture of their breakfast bowl, or with the fresh fruit in it, of course, or say yes to the green smoothie or whatever the case may be, just the healthier option that brings vitality in life. If you say you want to write a book, then decide to say yes to writing one chapter every day, or 1,500 words every day, or whatever that looks like for you. Right? So everybody's different. For me, I was on a tight deadline with a publisher to get something to market, and I was really focused on literally writing a chapter a day. It didn't always work out like that, but I'm telling you, I put my very best into it, and I put it on myself to get that done.
I mean, you really had to dig deep and press, because you didn't stop being a dad.
Yes.
You didn't stop being a husband. You continued to do the show. You continued to work out. I'm not even going to stop there. You continued to take calls and help people. Yeah. You really had to claw your way to that. You had to fight for it. You really had to fight for it.
Yeah. And one of the decisions, thank you for acknowledging that and seeing that. Because a lot of people don't see the stuff behind the scenes.
You didn't let anything else fall off when you could have.
Yeah.
I mean, even at one point, I remember later on, you says, well, I got to put up a few more boundaries because I've got to get in here. But you were considerate enough to do that. Again, I always joke about Shawn. You keep saying you're getting stuff, but we're the ones who keep getting all the stuff. But you still put somebody else in front. And then you would go at what's left, So I know you fought for that. This what we see. We have no idea what it took for you to show up and do that.
Thank you. Really, it means a lot. And, even within that, it's always those daily decisions on what to say yes to and what to say no to. And a big no that I had to call and make that decision was closing my practice, to free up that extra time to still maintain all of the other roles that were most important to me. So, but
that were most important to you.
Yes.
Not somebody else.
Exactly. That's a powerful place to be.
That's part of your decision making. We get caught up in what everyone else's agenda is. We start our day, hop on our phones, and we're already set off into other people's agenda.
Right.
And don't get to call it for ourselves.
This is exactly, so another part of that with coupling with making the decision that, okay, I'm going to write 5 pages a day or 1,500 words or a chapter a day, is the decisions to say no to the distractions, to checking your email and social media every 20 minutes, or to watching late night TV that diminishes your sleep quality and lowers your drive to execute the next day. So these very small things, these decisions that you have to make to build that muscle, the decision-making muscle is ultimately going to build the decision-making muscle for the big things that are going to transform your life and the life of a lot of other people. So no one is going to give you permission.
Right.
You have to decide. That's the big takeaway. No one's going to give you permission. You have to decide. All right. So that's one part of this anatomy of success. And so let's move on to the next part. The next part, again, parlaying with anatomy, is to dissect your beliefs. All right. So you have to dissect your beliefs. So ask yourself the question, are your beliefs right now really serving you? Are the beliefs that you're carrying around right now about yourself and about reality really serving you? The ones that are like, who do you think you are? You don't have the talent. You don't have the money. You don't have the resources. You don't have the connections. You don't have the fill in the blank. Who are you to do blank?
Yep.
Right? So those beliefs that you're carrying that you're not enough, is that really serving you? And even questioning, is it really true? Because I guarantee you, if it comes down to it and your back's against the wall and you have to get something done, you absolutely will. 100% of the time. If it's a life or death situation for a loved one, you're going to find a way. You're going to become more clever, more humorous, more creative, more fun, more, you're going to think bigger than you ever have or smaller than you ever have to isolate and get that thing done, without a doubt. But a lot of times we get so comfy in our lives, we're slipping into the heated toilet seat with the cup holders and the Chewbacca slippers. Right. And it's too comfy.
Right. Tell me you can't squat. Let me take you to somewhere, to the woods, and we'll see.
So how can you succeed? How can you succeed? For example, this belief that I was carrying, how can you succeed when no one else has succeeded before you?
Now that's a huge one. How
can you? And you're carrying this belief around that, wow, no one else has done this. How can I do it? It's not even possible. When in reality, just even asking the question or being able to see that thing is a clear-cut indication that it is possible.
And there's an answer.
Because you have to first see it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand.
You told us too previously that in the question is the answer. Many times we'll go around, we won't even have the question sitting around just kind of, which way did he go, George?
The question, I like to say the question is pregnant with the answer.
Okay, I try not to say pregnant too much.
I know, right? It just happens. Boom.
But I get that. I totally get that.
There can't be a question without a solution. It's like two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
And so it's just, we might not know what that solution is, but it exists, just the question. Just the fact that there is this situation, there's another counter situation to it. And so I had to change my beliefs. And I think you guys would know this, to go from where I came from to where I am today. And we've done a show just kind of dedicated to the backstory of my life. But I had to begin to believe that I was capable. No, scratch that. That I was destined to impact the lives of millions of people in a positive way. I had to begin to nurture that belief that I was destined to do that. Not just capable, but destined. And that's a powerful shift in your beliefs.
It is. And so even there, I was kind of like, don't give up that I was capable. Don't give up capable. But destined took all that fear and the inevitability questions out.
Just the language that we use.
Responsibility to do it.
Just the language we use colors a lot of our beliefs. And so, for example, if you're about to give a speech and it's like, I've got so much anxiety, I'm so nervous. Well, that feeling is very similar to be very, very excited about something as well. And you can just simply shift the language that you're talking about it in your own mind. You know, it's like, I'm just so excited. Let's go. Let's do this versus I'm so nervous. I just want to get this over, you know? And so just changing the language. But bottom line is this, is your beliefs are the basis for your worldview. Okay. Your beliefs are the basis for your worldview and your overall attitude towards things. If you believe that life is hard and you have to fight for everything you get, then your worldview is always going to find things to affirm that. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. And so what we have to shift over, and by the way, so here's another great quote, and I love James Allen as well. Wonderful writings. He says that the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to reflect their inner beliefs. Okay? So your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. And so this is where the change really ultimately needs to take place, is a change in your beliefs. And so instead of you saying, you know, I'm going to try, you know, I'm going to walk in this direction, Shawn, I'm deciding. But if you're expecting to lose, we've got a problem. You have to expect to win. You have to expect to execute. You have to expect to give your 120% best every single time out of the gate. I expect to win. I expect to be great. I expect to make an impact on your life right now, every single day. When I get close to this microphone, I expect that.
That's right.
And I expect that out of the people on my team as well.
That's right.
You know, and they hold me accountable and I hold them accountable. And so this is another part we're going to come back to in a moment about the team, but you have to expect to win, guys. And I want to really imbue that into your spirit today, which is shifting your belief system and expecting greatness, expecting great things to happen instead of expecting problems. It's hard.
Sure.
It's hard in a world today where we're inundated by so many different problems and struggles in the economy and just so many things we could be focused on, but there are great things happening and you can be tuned into either channel.
Yes, you can.
And it's not that you're ignoring this other stuff. It exists, but how can you help it if you're in it?
Right.
You know, we need to move to a place of ultimately compassion, because here's the level. So empathy is, I feel what you feel. Empathy is I feel what you feel. We're in it together. I feel what you feel. We're both a wreck. Sympathy is I feel for you. I feel for you and my heart bleeds for you. Another place to be that's a little bit more evolved, but compassion says I understand how you feel. How can I serve? I understand how you feel, but I don't feel that way, because if we're both not thinking clearly and we're both hurting and struggling and broken down, we can't see the solutions.
Right.
I understand how you feel. How can I serve?
I call that feel, felt, found.
Yeah.
I understand how you feel. I felt the same way. I can understand it because I've been there, or I can relate. And here's what I found out. This is what I discovered along the way, and this is how I can serve and help.
Yes.
And bring you from that place.
Yes.
Feel, felt, found.
Triple Fs. Love it. Love it.
But you got to add in some neverthelessness.
Yeah.
Because the problems and things will come.
Yes.
So nevertheless, I will win.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I can do this. I'm going to show up and give my best. Nevertheless.
Your beliefs are the foundation for your mental strength. What are you going to do when life hits you in the face?
And it's going to.
You know, what are you going to fold up? Are you going to run off with your tail between your legs and hide out somewhere? Or are you going to take the lick, learn the lesson? That's the key, because a lot of our trying situations, oftentimes they're coming because we weren't paying attention or taking action and not following through on the things that we've been asking for, the things that we've set out as our goal, and we're not moving in that direction. Sometimes life has a way of bringing a negative situation to really get you to pay attention.
Sure.
And so what are you going to do?
Because if it's a smack in the face, you got to feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to sting. You know, you can't ignore that it happened, but that's where the lesson is. Like, whoo.
But there are such thing called love taps.
There are.
You know,
they still should get your attention. Like, oh, you're there.
we learn the lesson and we keep moving forward. That's the key.
Right.
And so one more quote on this particular part of the anatomy of success is from Henry Ford, and he said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you are right." All right. So remember that. So before we get into the other parts of this, let's give a quick shout out to our show sponsor, and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, with all of the things that we're exposed to today, the environmental toxicity, the weird stuff showing up in our food supply, we've got to do things to really support our immune system. Our immune system is really running the show on so many different levels to keep us healthy. And one of the most powerful things for supporting a healthy immune system is making sure that we're getting in some immunomodulators. So what does that mean? These are substances that can help to elevate our immune system in response to things that might be trying to creep their way into our body, into our cells, and defend us against those things. But it can also bring the immune system back down, calm it down if things are running too hot, AKA we're dealing with some autoimmunity. We need things that are intelligent. Many drugs out there that are pushed through pharmaceutical companies, though they mean well, they push your immune system in one direction, and that can really mess things up on the back end, leading to AKA side effects. So to avoid that, getting some natural immunoregulators are going to be a powerful thing you add into your life. How I do that, and it's been a consistent basis pretty much every single day for the past 3 months now, I've been using every day, and even had it this morning, the incredible mushroom elixirs from Four Sigmatic. So head over to foursigmatic.com/model. So that's FORSIGMATIC.com/model. And you're going to get 10% off all of these amazing superfood elixirs. My favorite is the chaga. And chaga has been clinically shown to increase your NK cell activity, so your natural killer cells, over 300%. It's also the most powerful antioxidant that we've ever seen in the history of humanity that humans actually consume. Powerful antioxidant, powerful anti-cancer, powerful immune system regulator. So that's what I use in the morning. I'll get some chaga, and sometimes I'll have it straight, or I'll blend it with some hot water, some healthy fat. So this could be some ghee, this could be some grass-fed butter, this could be some coconut oil, some MCT oil, things like that. With a little bit of cinnamon, maybe some other fun medicinal herbs you can throw in there. But this has been the daily thing that I've done for the past few months, and I highly recommend you start doing the same thing. They also have the mushroom coffees, and my wife is a big fan of these. And so the mushroom coffee mix has cordyceps and chaga in there. And today she ran out. She was like, where's my coffee? And she's not even, ever since we've been together, she hasn't been a coffee drinker, but this has been her daily thing. She loves the way it makes her feel, and she doesn't get some weird kind of caffeine spike and crash as well. So head over and check them out. foursigmatic.com/model for 10% off. Now back to the show. All right, we're back. So we're here talking about the anatomy of success, and I hope that you guys are enjoying the show thus far. Let's move on to the next part of this, and this is the third part that we're going to talk about, third segment, which is another part of anatomy is digestion. Mm-hmm. All right, so number 3 is to digest greatness daily. Okay, digest greatness daily. Another question for you. What are the success rituals that you have right now that will ultimately lead you to your goals? Are you actually living your life in such a way that your goals can actually come to fruition? Are you living your life in such a way right now that your goals will become a reality without question? If not, wouldn't this be a nice time to start? Right. All right, so digest greatness daily. So this really speaks to creating a powerful daily success ritual and making sure that we're employing these things on a consistent daily basis. Now, so digesting greatness, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. For me, that means getting myself around powerful, life-giving information, whether that's in the form of books, videos, the food that you eat, of course, but also understanding that you're not just you are what you eat. It's you are what you eat, drink, breathe, think, and do, okay? What you think, the information that you're exposed to literally creates physical structure in your brain. So what are you tuned into? What are you tuned into? Because it is becoming a part of who you are. So get yourself around, those empowering podcasts, for example, like you're here with me today on a daily basis. There are shows, so many people sending messages saying, I've listened to such and such show 2-3 times just to extract all of the different pieces from it, so go back and listen to shows that hey, I need a refresher in this one, and that's one important thing. So what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? And who are the people you're around, which we're going to come back to this in a moment. So every single day, digest greatness, right? Every day, make it a part of your daily ritual. I promise you, this is one of the most powerful things that help to make the man that's standing here before you today. Is every single day, I was obsessed with finding a way to just get even a little bit better. That's all it takes. 5-10 minutes of learning something new, reading a passage from an important book, or watching an empowering video, or listening to an audio. Back in the day before podcasts, I was tuning in and buying all these different health summits, right? And so I was like spending money that was questionable that I even had, to invest in me becoming better. And ultimately, it's not even a question now, as far as what I'm able to do. But it took for me to make that sacrifice. And again, that word sacrifice, it's a little weird, but for us, it means to make sacred. You're making sacred the act of investing this thing versus I'm giving up this to get this.
Sure.
I sacrifice so much.
Right. But speak on the return of that investment, Shawn. What was so much and grand then has now paid what dividend for you?
So right now in my life, there are so many amazing people. First of all, it really starts with people. And me operating as kind of a, quote, lone wolf. Like, I'm going to change the world. Who's coming with me? But it's just, me on this island, getting my Tom Hanks and Wilson on, trying to save the world. But ultimately, it's through people and the relationships that I have and the amazing people that are in my life. Some of the most successful people, like in around, like literally, are friends because I said yes and took action. So it starts with people, because putting a monetary label on things of success to monetary success, that's really just kind of here today, gone today, in many ways, because at a certain level of income, the research shows that it doesn't even matter anymore, and so that's about, by the way, if anybody wants to know what that number is, $125,000 is, according to the research. Once you surpass that, money just becomes kind of irrelevant for a lot of people. And of course it's different because now it's not your life conditions and your life structure and the fear motivating us to take action, but ultimately there's so many people I know that don't make that kind of money, right, who are happier than people who are very, very financially wealthy, because it's the big picture. So financial success,
even in your limits, don't let the money be the thing.
Yes.
It's what is the bigger picture of this investment.
Exactly. So being able to take my family from where we were at, and I actually lived in Ferguson, Missouri, this is so powerful to make that transition. And so everybody's kind of probably heard about the devastation kind of in this area. And so this is where I'm from. And I'm from areas even worse than that,
right.
But I had to make the decision, and it was so powerful just to have those small examples. And so let this be a call to anybody who's questioning whether or not they should speak with inner city kids, or they should speak with people who are at high risk, or people who've given up, seemingly. Yeah. Chances are life is their community, not life. The community is given up on them.
That's it.
And for them just to have that picture or that possibility can change a child's life, or could change a person's life in an instant. So
it did for
even
me.
The bigger things that we're doing, because again, my big mission is to influence influencers. At the heart of all that is to be able to uplift those who need it most, but again, it starts with us saying yes. So being able to do that, being able to have this #1 podcast, like right now, we are today as we speak, #1 in the country. Amazing. On iTunes in fitness and nutrition, right? And again, I could just be like, I'm just a kid from St. Louis, and it's just like, who am I to do that?
Who are you not to be?
Exactly. Who are you not to be? And I made excellence a mandate. I made the decision to say yes to what was already there within my heart. And you can do the same thing, and I know you can. You are greatness itself. You wouldn't be tuned into this. You wouldn't be a part of this if it wasn't true.
That's
please
huge.
Know that. So, and ultimately, I cannot believe my publisher just sent me a picture, and my book is right there at the front of the store when you walk into the biggest bookstore in New York City. How is that possible? Like, right. I got the chills right now.
You said yes.
Yeah.
You said yes to those 15, to that chapter a day.
Yeah. So these are some of the things that are critical with the anatomy of success. And so these are 3 that we've gone through. Let me give you another one. Number 4 here in the anatomy of success is to detox the garbage from your life. Detox the garbage from your life. How can you be great when you're constantly holding on to so much baggage that's holding you back? How can you do that? How can you do that? The excuses and the poor habits that clog up your life, you've got to let that stuff go. So let's talk a little bit about excuses. Now, I know negative things have happened to you. I know, I understand. But so what? That's the past. Carrying that stuff around is hurting you more than anybody else who you might want to get back at or whatever the case may be. But then, some people still are going to be like, you don't understand, Shawn. They did this to me. They called me this. They put they. On Instagram, DJ Khaled's really big, or whatever, Snapchat, and he's like, they. Don't listen to they, all right?
Right.
But bottom line is that stuff right there are things that we're carrying around, and it doesn't serve us. And I remember Nelson Mandela's statement that resentment is like drinking poison, thinking that it's going to kill your enemies, okay? It's just hurting you.
Yeah.
So what do you do right now? You can say yes to fulfilling your mission here, learning from the experience. How can you serve other people so that they don't end up in that same place that you're in? Because I promise you there's a gift there somewhere, no matter. And I've been through some tremendously negative situations. Please know that. Please know that even as I'm saying this, I understand. But at the end of the day, I have to make a decision of whether or not I'm going to let this define me or whether or not I'm going to do something great with this and be a beneficial presence here on this planet. So you have that same opportunity. So we have to let go of the excuses. All this stuff that happened in your past, it's given you skills. It's given you attitudes. It's given you ways to adjust. It's given you ideas. It's given you gifts that might be dormant, might be latent. It's given you the opportunity to be a better person and to serve. In some strange way, you're going to figure it out. But first of all, you have to let go and stop holding on to this kind of strange, Erykah Badu's coming to mind.
Right.
Bag lady.
Bag lady, you're going to miss your bag.
You're going to hurt your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got to put those bags down because they're just holding us down. And it's so powerful when you can let that stuff go. Maybe express it. Let somebody know. I know our friend George Bryant, who we had on the show, he shared openly about his struggle with eating disorders. And once he did that, it became like this huge weight lifted off his shoulder because he had this persona that he was putting out. And he shared that information and it changed his life just by writing a blog post about it and putting it out there.
Right.
I'm not saying that you need to share in that context. Maybe it's with a friend. Maybe it's with, a therapist, a counselor. But stop carrying that around, and also making sure that your counselor, whoever you are working with, is skilled in the manner of understanding that you are a person and not a drug depository station. All right. So please understand that if somebody's coming at you with pills, first and foremost, that's probably not somebody that you want to talk to. All right. We need to lead with compassion, lead with listening, lead with changes to your lifestyle and thinking. That's at the core of you getting what you want.
And if what you're feeling has become overwhelming and you're discouraged or depressed, there's also a great episode we did about that and how there's some natural things that can help lift your spirit and your energy and your mode.
That's the only show we had to record twice, and I don't know if we've actually shared this before, but I mean, and I'm not a crier, I'm not a crier and I'm just not, my wife is like, she cries in commercials, but that episode, because I have such an intimate connection with that, I was bawling, like it literally couldn't even finish, and so I got to recharge and come back and deliver the message. I got a little bit choked up, at a spot or two, but it wasn't like the first time of finally sharing, saying the story, sharing what my experience was. Wow, it changed me as a person, it changed me. And so we'll put that episode in the show notes because there's a lot of value there and it's going to help a lot of people. It already has. So let's move on to the final part. Well, really quickly, the poor habits. So that's excuses and getting rid of or eliminating the garbage, detoxing the garbage from our life. Excuses. The other part is poor habits. So how you do anything is how you do everything.
I love that.
How you do anything is how you do everything. So we want to start to become great in even the small things, becoming great over the few so that we could be great over the many. You've got to manage the small stuff first. So Are you doing basic things like taking care of your health? Are you doing basic things like making sure that you're doing this daily success practice that we've been talking about? So how you do anything is how you do everything. Remember that. We've got to replace those negative, weak habits for strong habits. And also, for example, if you don't have time for sleep, you will have time for disease.
Yeah.
If you don't have time for exercise and good nutrition, you will have time for disease. So eliminating the poor habits, bringing on board new empowering habits, is going to help transform the game. So I want to share one more piece with you guys. And so the first piece was the biggest one, in exercising those decision-making muscles. This one we're going to do more about, and we've talked about this in the past, so we're not going to lay into it really thick here, but bottom line is this, is that you need to improve your environment. Nothing is more impactful on the health of your cells than the environment that they're in. And the same thing with you as a whole cellular community. So you need to get yourself around great people, all right? Do whatever it takes. And I had that experience of people driving for 4 hours to come just to shake my hand and to talk to me.
Right.
Do you think that goes unnoticed? Not just by me, but by all of life, saying, you know what, you're serious. Right. You care enough to say yes and to step up and to do something exceptional outside of the norm and the comfort zone, to show what you're really about. So going to events, making sure that you're going out and you're connecting and investing in the people who've given you so much. The people who, you might have learned spiritual lessons from, or health information, whatever it is, find a way to invest into them, because you have to circulate that energy, and let life know that, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Bring more of that goodness back to me.
Exactly.
So step up and do that. Masterminds, find a way to be a part of that with people who are at your level in different things and beyond you in different things, or people that are maybe below you in certain things and above you in other things. And you guys find a way to come together and share with each other, so travel, attend events, invest and give. Lead with giving. You don't go to an event and say, you know what, I want you to give me blank, or how can you help me to get blank?
Sure.
Say, what is something that I can do to help support your mission?
And many events have a volunteers option.
Right. True.
There's some great conferences that, you can kind of scroll down their informational page on their website, and be a volunteer is often an option.
There's always a way that you can give, no matter what level that you're at. If you think that you don't have anything to give, I promise you do. There's always somebody who's less fortunate, that you have experience, resources, time, talents that you can help to fulfill, and that's going to fulfill you. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you got a lot of value out of today, and the most important thing is to employ these things into your life. Put them in. Consider the questions that I asked you today, and find out those parts where you need to shore up. Find out those things in your life that you really need to move into. What are the things that have been holding you back, the beliefs, the lack of decisions, and start to change those things, because the power is ultimately in your hands. And I'm going to be here to keep encouraging you and to bring you the most empowering health information, lifestyle information possible. And we've got so many amazing shows coming up for you guys this year. So stay tuned. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk with you soon.